Hello YouTube, it's Mike's Apple Tech here. We're going to take a quick look at what Apple have announced at their special event today on the 23rd of October 2012. So let's get started. So, as always, the event started off with updates about things like Tim Cook mentioned that the iPhone 5 sold over 5 million units on opening weekend. Already sold over 3 million iPods from the new iPod lineup, and certain points like that. It's over 35 billion downloads from the App Store, and it's over, I think, 300 billion iMessages have been sent since iOS 5's been released, which is about 28,000 a second. So that's a lot of iMessages. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what Apple released, not the updates, what Apple have released. So Phil Schiller came on stage and he started talking Mac. So first of all, they talked about the MacBook Pro. They're releasing a 13-inch MacBook Pro with a Retina display that is available to buy now. Starts shipping today, and it does look good. I personally won't be getting one. I can't afford it. I'm sticking with my iMac, which I'll get onto those in a minute. Mac Mini got a bit of an upgrade. It's got updated I/O ports, updated internals. I wasn't paying that much attention with that bit on. I was just waiting for the iPad announcement, but check in the description below and I will put all the new specs for 13-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display and the new Mac Mini. Put them all down below. And then he moved on to iMac. The new iMac, in fact, here's a picture of it. Look at how thin it is. It is amazing how thin they've managed to get this. I mean, I've got the 2011 model, and looking at it compared to that, it's massive. I mean, my iMac is about that thick, and that thing looks about that thick. So, I really wish I'd waited a couple of months to get my iMac, even though I did get mine in May. So it's been a fair few months since, so at least I've got some sort of Mac. Then moved on to iPad. Tim Cook came back on stage first, talked about something, and then we moved back onto iPad. Apple have updated the third generation iPad, but they've called it the fourth generation iPad, which I think a few people might be a bit wound up for if they bought their third generation iPad just 6 months ago when it was released. The difference between the fourth gen and the third gen is the fourth gen is packing an A6X processor, which doubles performance and graphics. It's spotting the new Lightning connector. It's now got a HD FaceTime camera, same as you'll find in your iPhone 5. Just to prove that is an iPhone 5, not my 4S. There you go. Not my 4S. I've got it next to my 4. There you go. Anyway, sidetracked. So that will remain at the same price as the third generation. You can no longer buy a third generation. Just read on the 9to5Mac website that you can, if you've bought a third gen iPad in the last 30 days, depending on the local store, what the local store wants to do, you can trade it in for a fourth generation iPad, but it's on a store by store basis. If the store doesn't want to, they don't have to, but if you've bought it within the last 14 days, Apple's return policy states you can return it within 14 days even if you've opened it, because if you don't like it. So if you've bought one in the last 14 days, definitely take it back. The new iPads will be shipping from the 2nd of November for the Wi-Fi, and 2 weeks later for the Wi-Fi and cellular, and they remain at the same price. Then Phil Schiller had this sort of thing come up, where the iPad 4th generation was there, and then it suddenly turned around into the iPad mini, and everyone was screaming and shouting. We knew it was coming, but it's still exciting. This thing's sporting a 7.9-inch display. It's not a Retina display, it's got the same resolution as the iPad 2. It's got slightly more pixels per inch than the iPad 2. This basically is internally a larger iPod Touch, externally a smaller iPad 2. But enough of that, it's a new product Apple have released. Pardon me. It's got the Lightning connector, it's got an A5 processor, it's got a 5 megapixel iSight camera, it's got a 1.2 megapixel FaceTime HD camera, as I said 7.9-inch diagonal screen. Phil Schiller came up with the good way of remembering the sizes of the iPad and the iPad mini screen sizes. The iPad is 9.7 inches, the iPad mini is 7.9 inches, so very good. It looks like Apple have just switched the two numbers around, just like that. Sorry for sort of swearing there. So they got onto all that. Pre-orders for that start this Friday, same as for the 4th Gen iPad. Wi-Fi ships November 2nd. 2 weeks later you'll get Wi-Fi and cellular, which starts out, first of all, it's just the US, the Wi-Fi and cellular. The Wi-Fi is loads of countries, including United Kingdom. Wi-Fi and cellular is US only. Then 2 weeks later, obviously Wi-Fi and cellular. Comes in black and white. You got white and silver like the iPhone 5, and black and slate. So yeah, it's costing about 20 quid more than the iPod Touch. So you can either get a 32GB iPod Touch 5th generation for $249, or a 16GB iPad mini for $269. So it's your choice. That's how much to start at in the United Kingdom, £269. All the links to pricing will be down there. So yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about the Mac Mini and the iMac is Apple have created a new hard drive. I think it's called a friction drive. I can't remember who's sure. I can't remember. But it's basically an SSD and HDD. You get 128GB of SSD storage and either 1 or 3 terabytes of HDD storage. Now your operating system and all the installed programs when you get your Mac will be running on the SSD. Everything you put on there will go onto the HDD, which means booting up the Mac will be extremely fast, loading in pre-installed applications will be extremely fast, and the hard drive is very clever because it learns which programs you use more. So say you use Final Cut Pro instead of iMovie, it'll learn that you use Final Cut Pro and it'll move that over to the SSD, and then iMovie out of the SSD into the HDD. So it's going to be very clever. So yeah, that's about it. Don't forget to click the subscribe button up above. Click like if you liked this video, and thanks for watching.